You think that car subscription is flexibility? That you're beating the system by avoiding a down payment and maintenance? That's exactly what they want you to think. You're not renting a car, you're renting your own financial dependency, and you're paying a premium for it. We were told ownership is a burden, but the truth is, we've been priced out of it. The average new car costs $48, an impossible number when your salary is stagnant and your student debt is part of a $1.7 trillion national crisis. So they offered us a solution. One simple monthly payment that feels modern and smart. It's not a solution. It's a carefully designed trap built on the wreckage of the dream our parents had. They are selling our generation a new promise. Don't own, just owe forever. And the most insulting part isn't just the cost. It's the hidden mechanism they use to justify each mechanism that proves this isn't an accident, it's a design. This wasn't a sudden accident, it was a slow, calculated demolition of a promise. Our parents' generation stepped into an economy where one factory job could buy a house, a car, and a future. In 1965, the median house cost was $20,000, about 2.5 times the median family income. A new car was about $2,600. Less than 6 months of work, the game had rules, and following them led to a predictable outcome, stability. But while they were building their lives, the foundation of that world was being systematically dismantled. Wages were decoupled from productivity in the early 1970s, meaning we could work harder and smarter forever. But the rewards would be siphoned upwards. Financial deregulation in the 80s and 90s didn't create opportunity. It created tools for wealth extraction. The advice they gave us, get a degree, buy a house, was an echo from a world they had unknowingly left behind. It was a map to a city that no longer exists. So here we are, the generation that followed the rules, only to find the game was rigged before we were born. A college degree now costs, on average, over $100,000 at a private university, shackling us to decades of debt. That median house that cost 2.5 times the median income in the 60s, today, it costs over 7.5 times the median income, the worst affordability ratio in history. We entered the workforce with negative net worth, facing costs that have inflated by 400% or more, while our wages have been functionally flat for 40 years. We are the most educated and least wealthy generation in modern history. And right at the moment of our maximum financial desperation, when the math of ownership becomes a cruel joke, the subscription economy emerges with a friendly smile, offering access without the burden. They didn't just stumble upon a new business model, they waited for the water to rise, and then sold us a designer raft with a hole in it. Let's meet the architects of this new reality. It's not some shadowy cabal, it's the car manufacturers themselves, Volvo, Nissan, Porsche and their finance arms. The quiet engines of this trap. Their business model used to be simple. Sell a car, make a one-time profit, but that model had a problem for them. It ended. You could pay it off, you could sell it, you were free. Now, they've engineered a system to ensure you never are. They transformed a depreciating asset, which was once your problem, into a perpetual revenue stream, which is now their golden goose, by locking us into subscriptions. They kill the unpredictable used car market they can't control and capture a steady, predictable flow of cash month after month. They aren't just renting you a car, they are harvesting your data, analyzing your financial limits, and building a profile of a perfect, permanent customer. Their entire business now depends on us never saving enough to actually own anything, and who loses? We do. Our generation, armed with degrees and drowning in debt, walking onto a playing field where the goalposts aren't just moved, they've been sold for scrap. We are the perfect marks, conditioned by a decade of subscriptions for everything from music to movies. Trained to see a recurring monthly payment as normal, they're counting on us to see the $950 month fee and not do the one thing that unravels the entire scheme, the math. You're not losing because you're stupid. You're losing because no one taught you the real rules. The lie is built on a simple, brutal mechanism they hide in plain sight, a concept they have inverted to work against you. Depreciation, they call it convenience, but it has a real name, the total cost of servitude. You're no longer just paying for a car, you are paying a premium to cover the depreciation on their asset, guaranteeing they profit while you are left with nothing. The central mechanism is so simple, it's insulting. They've weaponized depreciation. A car losing value used to be the owner's problem. Now, they've made it our generation's permanent, monthly expense. This trap is invisible because we were never given the language to describe it. Our education system spent 12 years teaching us about the mitochondria, but not a single hour on how a loan's amortization schedule is. Designed to front-load interest, trapping you in the early years, they taught us to celebrate a high credit score, without explaining that the fastest way to get one is to go into debt and pay interest to a bank. It's a system designed to make you pay for the privilege of being measured. They don't want you to calculate the total cost of servitude over 5 years. They just want you to see one affordable monthly payment. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, and it relies on us never learning the real rules of the game it forces us to play. It gets worse. This isn't happening in a vacuum. It's compounding. While we pay these subscriptions, inflation acts as a hidden tax, silently eroding the value of any cash we manage to save. Meanwhile, the tax code is written to reward the very asset ownership we are being locked out of. They get tax breaks for depreciation on assets we are paying for. It's a perfect, closed loop of wealth extraction. We are funneled into a system where our wages are taxed heavily. Our savings are devalued by inflation, and we are then sold solutions that prevent us from ever acquiring the assets that would protect us from those first two forces. The car subscription isn't a separate product. It is the final, elegant gear in a machine built to ensure we remain permanent tenants in our own lives. You are not just paying for their car, you are paying to absorb their financial risk with zero potential for reward. And the proof is undeniable when you see the cold, hard numbers. Let me show you the math. Let's do the math. Not the simplified, friendly numbers they show you in the app, the real numbers. The ones that expose the entire model as a calculated extraction. We start with the median Gen Z salary after tax, about $3,750 a month. From that, you pay rent, maybe $1,800 in a city where jobs exist. You pay your student loan, another $400, groceries, utilities, healthcare. You're already fighting to stay above water. Then comes the solution for your car problem, a subscription for a basic SUV at $950 a month. It feels simple, predictable, but look what happens. Over 3 years, you will pay them $34,200. At the end of those 3 years, after handing them the equivalent of a down payment on a house, you will have exactly zero to show for it. You return the keys. Your net worth hasn't moved an inch. You just paid to borrow their asset while it lost value. Now let's look at the path they told us was impossible. The ownership path. Instead of their new car, we buy a reliable 3-year-old used car for $28,000. You put down the $2,000 you've been desperately saving. Your 60-month loan at a 7% interest rate comes out to $518 a month. Your insurance is about $180, and you budget $50 a month for maintenance. That's a total monthly cost of $748. Stop, did you see that? The impossible path of ownership is already $202 cheaper every single month than the flexible subscription. Over those same 3 years, your total cash outlay is $28,928. That's over $5,000 less than the subscription cost. They are charging you a premium for the privilege of owning nothing. They made ownership seem so out of reach that you wouldn't even bother to run the numbers. They counted on our financial anxiety to blind us. This is the moment the entire lie unravels. After 3 years on the ownership path, you've paid $28,928, and you have an asset. That 6-year-old car is now worth about $16,000. So, what was your true net cost for 3 years of transportation? It was the $28,928 you paid, minus the $16,000 asset you still hold. Your net cost was $12,928 for the subscription. Your net cost was the full $34,200 because you're left with nothing. The math doesn't lie. The convenience of the subscription cost you an extra $21,272. You didn't just rent a car. You lit $21,000 on fire to keep their asset warm. You paid all of the cost of its depreciation, plus their profit margin, and you got absolutely none of the equity. That's not a service. That's the total cost of servitude, and this is how the game actually works. Here's the breaking point. That $21,272 isn't just a number on a spreadsheet. It's the tangible cost of the lie they sold you. It's half of a down payment on a house in many parts of the country. It's enough to completely wipe out the average student loan debt for a public college graduate. It is the seed money for an investment account that could have started building real wealth for your future. Instead, it vanished. It evaporated into their revenue report. This is the moment the anger should turn into cold clarity. You did everything you were told to do in this new economy. You chose the flexible, smart, asset-light option, and for your trouble, you were penalized a sum of money that could have changed the trajectory of your life. That feeling in your gut right now isn't confusion. It's the righteous anger of realizing you've been pickpocketed in broad daylight with a smile and a monthly statement. This is where you have to understand the most critical truth. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. That $21,272 you lost wasn't an unfortunate side effect. It was the entire point of the product. It was the profit margin, the risk premium, and the bonus check for the executive who designed the subscription model. They created a treadmill that not only runs in place, but speeds up every year, powered by your monthly payments. And they have the audacity to call it a vehicle. Your financial exhaustion is their business model. They need you to be too tired, too indebted, and too demoralized to do the simple math that exposes the entire con. They are counting on us to believe that ownership is a relic of the past. A burden for a reason, because the moment we start owning things, we stop being their permanent, predictable source of revenue. The breaking point isn't just about a car, it's the horrifying realization that this is the blueprint for our entire generation's financial life. They are doing this with everything. Housing is next, with co-living spaces that are just dorm rooms for adults at luxury prices. Your software, your entertainment, your life all converted into endless subscriptions. Each one is a tiny leak in the boat, seemingly manageable on its own, but together they are sinking us. They have perfected the art of selling us our own lives back to us, one monthly payment at a time. You're not losing because you're stupid. You're losing because you were handed a rule book for a game that is no longer being played. The real game is about who owns the assets and who pays the rent. And right now, we are a generation of renters paying for a world we will never own. So what happens if we keep playing by their rules in the next 1 to 5 years? The trap tightens its grip. Every $950 payment we make is a $1,000 step away from stability. It's the reason we can't build an emergency fund, the reason one unexpected medical bill or a layoff is a guaranteed catastrophe. We're treading water in a current that's getting stronger, with our debt from student loans growing faster than our ability to pay it down. We feel that constant, low-grade hum of anxiety, the one that 78% of our generation reports because we are living on a financial knife's edge. We're told this is the price of flexibility, but it's the cost of paralysis. We can't leave a job we hate because we're chained to a monthly payment for an asset we don't even own. Every month, the hole just gets a little bit deeper, and we feel the shame of going backwards, convinced it's our own fault. Now, let's zoom out to the 5 to 15-year timeline. The consequences are no longer about anxiety. They are about mathematical impossibility. That window for homeownership, it's not just closing. For many of us, it has been welded shut. While our friends who bought a used car have been payment-free for years, investing that extra cash, we are still pouring money into a black hole. We have spent over $100,000 on transportation and have exactly zero assets to show for it. Our retirement accounts are critically behind schedule, starved of the very funds that needed time to compound. The life milestones our parents took for granted, marriage, children, a stable home, are no longer just delayed, they become abstract fantasies. We are trapped in careers we can't leave because we have no financial runway, unable to take a risk, start a business, or negotiate for what we're worth. We become permanent tenants, not just in our cars, but in our entire lives, and in the long term, 15 to 30 years from now, the end game becomes brutally clear. We will work until we die. That's not hyperbole. It's the logical conclusion of a life spent funding other people's assets. With no home equity, no significant investments, and no savings, retirement is a myth. The generational wealth gap becomes a permanent canyon as we have nothing to pass down to our own children, locking them into the same cycle. Our health will decline under the weight of decades of financial stress with no safety net to catch us. We will be the generation that realizes, far too late, that we spent our entire lives running on a treadmill that was designed by the gym's owner to speed up every year. This is not a personal failure. This is systematic extraction. So this is the first step. You stop playing their game and you start calculating the total cost of servitude. The principle isn't buy cheap cars or avoid subscriptions. That's advice. That's a trap. The principle is this. Before you sign up for anything over $50 a month, you run the numbers. You calculate the 3-year, the 5-year, and the 10-year cost. You ask yourself, what asset could I own for this same amount of cash? This is hard. It requires a level of vigilance we were never taught to have. The system made it hard on purpose. It relies on our exhaustion, but now you see it. You see the blueprint, and you can't unsee it. This is the shift from shame to clarity, from hoping to calculating. You're not losing because you're stupid. You're losing because no one taught you the real rules. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. The exit isn't a secret investment or a get-rich-quick scheme. It's the understanding that you now possess. You see the board? Not just the pieces they let you move. This awareness is the only real asset they can't take from you. It's what allows you to start making decisions based on your own math, not their marketing. It's the beginning of reclaiming your financial agency, one calculated decision at a time. But it also forces a much more uncomfortable question that will haunt you long after this is over. How many other subscriptions in your life are actually just traps designed to keep you from ever owning anything? You think this is bad? Next, we'll run the math on buy now. Pay later, and I'll show you how it's designed to be a gateway to a lifetime of debt you can never escape.